Yo, so I've been doing this series. I'm starting a series on the talented Detroit Pistons roster. And I've been doing this because I've been seeing far too many Detroit Pistons pundits, critics, fans, people talking about either blowing up the roster, trading guys away, trying to bring in a savior to try to save this team, Brandon Ingram, Paul George, Zach LaVine. They just want anybody. And they seem to forget just how talented this team already is for spurts, for moments, for a string of games all last season. There was a player or players who were absolutely dominating, whether it was Jaden Ivey, whether it was Cade Cunningham, whether it was Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, right? We just quickly forget. I know it was a rough season. Losing is always rough, but it doesn't mean that you throw out the baby with the bathwater. Don't try to cheat the process. The fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. Any shortcut is just going to take you longer. That's a little gem right there for those who caught it. A shortcut just takes you longer. Now, with that, I want to dive in on two players. Normally I do one at a time, right? I did Big Stu, Isaiah Stewart, then I did Asar Thompson, big fan of his, and I was going to do Marcus Sasser, but then I saw my man Quentin Grimes because somebody made a comment. They were saying, yo, trade Quentin Grimes, he didn't do nothing for us. And I was like, yo, Quentin Grimes is actually a good player. He's a nice piece. University of Houston, he's a dog, plays hard, competes every possession. Kind of reminds me of Dante DiVincenzo. And then something clicked. Just like Dante DiVincenzo, right? He wasn't blowing people out the water when he first got drafted. He wasn't spectacular. He wasn't this version of himself in the playoffs. Off top in his third season, he was still a guy trying to find his way. But then he got partnered next to his old teammate Jalen Brunson, and magic happened. Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo have a magic type of chemistry. Almost, I referred to in another video, the Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry chemistry. These guys trust each other. They play off each other remarkably well. They feed each other energy. They encourage one another. They are maximizing each other's talent by playing together. And then I said to myself, wait, I could have sworn Marcus Sasser and Quentin Grimes also played together. And so I looked it up. They played together at the University of Houston. And if you know anything about the University of Houston, similar to Villanova, not just anybody can play for the University of Houston. You got to be a dog. And when I say a dog, you got to be somebody with the intensity, night in, night out, who plays an extremely competitive, intense level of basketball on both ends of the court. In fact, both Marcus Sasser and Quentin Grimes, when they left the University of Houston, Quentin Grimes a couple seasons before Sasser did, when they both left, they were both considered all-league defenders, high-level defensive guys who could also get buckets. And what's funny is they were just as known for their ability to score and shoot the ball as they were for their ability to defend. And that is something that is extremely rare for perimeter players to come in as high-level scorers, leading their team in scoring, and All-Americans. Both of them were All-Americans. And be all-league defense. Now, the dope part about that is that both of them will likely be coming off the bench next season. And as a result of coming off the bench together, they're going to have an opportunity to have a rekindling of that University of Houston chemistry. They're going to be able to play off each other with trust, knowing where each other likes the ball, knowing how each other likes to play. And I'm going to be honest with y'all. I got a partner I used to hoop with back in the day. His name is Jay, right? Jay and I both love playing defense. We love nothing more than to get a bucket, talk trash, and then come back and not even let you get across half court. But you know what? When you're playing by yourself, this level of defense, it's not always the same. Because when you want to take a gamble, a calculated gamble, you know you can get it, but you don't always know if somebody has your back. And so you almost have that hesitancy like, if I go for this, I know nobody's even here. Or you know somebody's a weak ball handler, and it's like, man, if somebody would just jump this side, I could totally get the ball here and get a steal, and we're off to the races. Well, me and Jay, when we played together, we would do that constantly. Constantly. We see a weak ball handler, I'd jump on his right hand. Jay would instinctively already know, jump on the left. One of us is ripping it. If he tries to throw it over the top, both of us is knocking that thing down. We off for a bucket and a layup, and we right back at him. I think something similar is going to happen between Marcus Sasser and Quentin Grimes. That they're going to be a backcourt coming in off the bench, and they're going to be able to get into a bench defense. I'm sorry, a bench offense in ways that's going to turn the ball over, allow them to get into transition, get easy buckets, open threes, and have an opportunity to extend or open up leads when they come in the game. I don't know if you guys remember Emmanuel Quickly and Deuce McBride when they used to come in for the Knicks, right? Or even in this season's playoffs with the Indiana Pacers, right? You have T.J. McConnell and Ben Shepherd. When they come in the game, they are a terror on the defensive end. They're tough, they're physical, they're dogged, they get into the passing lane, they're reaching in, they're bodying up, and it makes it hell for opposing guards to be able to consistently get their team into their offense. And it's a huge bonus because it allows them to also rest Tyrese Halliburton. It allows them to rest Aaron Neesmith. It allows them to rest Andrew Nemhart. And so when they come back in the game, they have that much energy, that much more energy. And I think it's going to be crucial because, well, Jaden Ivey's not exactly a lockdown perimeter defender. He has the potential and he has the commitment, but that's not who he is yet. Cade Cunningham, he's a long way off. Asar, we already know crazy all-world defender he is. But bringing in two dog defenders who can come in and shut down the opposing team's backcourt, starting or not, I think those two are going to be able to give the business to a starting point guard or one coming off the bench because they're going to be coming in fresh, knowing they got 6 fouls, they can use them more liberally, and they're here to increase the intensity and wear you out. Wear you out. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Now, on top of that, I don't know if y'all caught this last season, but Marcus Sasser's a bucket. Marcus Sasser is a straight bucket. And one thing I wanted to I looked through some video of him as a freshman at the University of Houston. Then I looked at him his second year, his third year, his scouting report. This dude's been a bucket. This dude came into the NCAA a bucket, meaning his instinctual awareness of where the basket is, his ability to kind of always gauge his speed, his balance, his shot creation with understanding where the defenders are, the help defenses, navigating defensive pressure, whether it's a box and one, a zone, whether he's attacking a closeout, whether he's getting into the mid-range for a pull-up, a floater. He's been doing this since he was a freshman in college. You see, everything that we saw this season is a part of who he is. It's not who he's trying to grow into. He's not trying to develop a floater. He's been had the floater. He wasn't trying to develop at that step back or pull back three. He's been doing that for the past 4 years at a high level, starting all league, all American. You see, this is the difference between guys who are trying to develop the bag and guys who have always had the bag. You think of the Jamal Crawfords, you think of the Jamal Murrays, right? You think of guys who this is just who they are. They get buckets. And what I love about how he plays is, if I'm honest with you, he's probably the guard I had the most faith in to have ball security throughout the game. When he had the ball, I wasn't worried about him getting ripped. I wasn't worried about him dribbling the ball off his foot. I wasn't worried about what he was doing. Actually, many times watching him play, I wanted him to be more aggressive. I wanted him to shoot more. I was looking at him, he's probably got the most confident shot creation outside of uh Cade Cunningham when it comes to getting into his pull up, getting into the mid range, getting to his floater game, getting to the rim, creating for others. It's just what he does. And then when I look at Quentin Grimes, a lot of y'all forget Quentin Grimes is a bucket too. Now he doesn't have as much of the mid range game in terms of ball creation as a Marcus Sasser, but you know what he does have? He has a game very similar to Dante DiVincenzo. He's got that kind of uh, pull up threat where he can get hot. He hit 7 threes against the Boston Celtics earlier this year. He was able to get to his spots in terms of moving without the ball. He's always constantly moving, cuts well without the ball, and he's a guy that you can blink, and all of a sudden he's got 7 points, and he just got in the game. You could blink again, and he's got 14. Right? He's one of those guys that if they see the first one go down, it's going to be a long night for you. And so when you have that type of shooting coming off your bench as a pair, that's something to be excited about. And not just shooting, but also defense. These are the type of guys that are going to help to solidify culture, that are also going to increase what is highly needed on this team, on this Detroit Pistons team, which is chemistry, which has been the big kind of overhang on this team because there's been so much roster fluctuation, whether it's people with injuries, veterans being starting off hurt, coming to the season, then getting traded, bringing in new veterans. All the fluctuation has kept guys from really figuring out how to play off each other well. I can't really point to one great game outside of maybe the Brooklyn game and maybe the Dallas game later in the season that you see the Detroit Pistons being able to put it all together. But I think having these two together is going to increase the chemistry, at least for that bench unit, to where you can have a Marcus Sasser, Quentin Grimes, you can have a Simone Fontecchio, you can have a James Wiseman, and whoever they get in the draft, right, coming in and being able to have huge bench production. And I mean huge bench production. I'm talking about a bench that is top 5 to 10 in scoring, that's able to be one of the most efficient bench mobs in the NBA. And that, if you're a Pistons fan, once again, you should be excited about. But as always, if you enjoyed the video, smash the like button for me, hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. If you agree or disagree, get at me in the comment section and we can chop it up there. Peace.